first up in Yakuza 4, we've got 3 new characters that you've never seen or played as before. The first of these is the Lone Shark, and that's the guy we're looking at right here. Now this guy fights entirely different than Kazuma Kiryu fights. You can see he fights almost primarily with his feet. So all of his combat style, very, very different. But likewise, all of his heat moves are going to be different. The heat moves in Yakuza, as you can see under the HP bar, is that little blue bar. And as that goes up higher, when you get it far enough, you get this blue flame around you. That blue flame means you can do all sorts of cool finishing moves or little combos to take out enemies. So now we've got that blue flame, we're going to go ahead and do a heat action on one of these guys up here. The heat action, you can do it by pushing triangle. So we're going to see triangle show up like that, and bam, down they go. And those are the heat actions in Yakuza. There's tons of them, and they're all very different for each character. So we've also got weapons, and just like in Yakuza 3, you can get all sorts of different weapons and fight with them. In Yakuza 4, the same thing applies, and you can do heat actions just like we're seeing right here with those weapons themselves. And a nice finish with the nunchucks. But nunchucks aren't the only weapon. You can get stuff like spears, you can get katanas, you can get all sorts of different things. And you can also pick up items in the environment to fight with, like this golf club. So as enemies get different weapons, you can pick them up once you down them and have a bit of fun. Once these guys are down, we're going to move on to our next character. But the storyline in Yakuza 4, for those that are wondering, actually doesn't pick up with Kazuma Kiryu. So even if you never played Yakuza 1, 2, or 3, you can still follow what's going on. Those of you that have played the rest of the series, you'll be very happy when you get to the part where Kazuma Kiryu shows up, as it does involve the Tojo clan and a whole lot of Japanese yen. A lot of improvements have been made, as you can see, with the finishing moves there with the heat attacks, both to the graphics on the whole and also to the enemies' faces. You'll see teeth being spit out here and there, blood flying around, and faces getting all sorts of messed up. And now and then we throw signs on people's chests and jump on them. The games aren't all about violence, however, and you can do a lot of exploring around Kamurocho in Tokyo, a fictional setting based on Kabukicho from actual Tokyo, which is sort of the red light district in the city. There's a lot of stuff in the city in the game that is actually very true to life of the actual city. And right here we're playing as the second character. This guy's kind of the dirty cop character. This guy fights based with his fists more so. He's a very lightweight character, but he can do a lot of cool sort of grabs and grapples. In this case, the environment we're on can be used to do different heat attacks, like throwing guys off of a building, for example. This guy's got a knife, so we're going to beat him up next and take his knife, and then use that to drop one of the other enemies in front of us. So this guy has entirely different finishing moves than some of the others. So now using our knife, we're going to go ahead and shank one of these guys. Beautiful! Yakuza is a very family-friendly game, if you couldn't tell already. No, we're definitely looking at M for mature, but Yakuza is kind of amazing in the sense of freedom you get when running around. So these are another weapon. We talked about spears earlier. This guy's got a spear in the demo just to show off what you can do with it. So he's got 3 guys left. As you get hit, you're going to lose that blue bar, so as you do more damage, you gain it back. He's gained it back, and he's going to do another heat attack to finish off one of these guys as soon as they get back up. Every now and then we stomp on somebody's face, just for good measure. One of the biggest questions we've been asked about Yakuza 3 is definitely what about the hostess clubs? And people want to know why in 3 the hostess clubs, were taken out, what happened with the hostess clubs, will we see them in Yakuza 4? And we're very happy to say that the hostess clubs in their entirety are going to be making it into Yakuza 4. So instead of going on dates with girls at Smile Burger, you'll actually be going into the real joint, meeting them there. It's very, very different if you've never been to a hostess club or know what they are. They're very weird in Japanese culture, but those of you that do want to experience them certainly can. This third character you're playing as is named Taiga. Taiga is actually an escaped convict, and because Taiga's so huge and bulky, he's first off very slow. But thanks to that, we can actually use that way to our advantage. We can pick up larger enemies. We can also pick up items in the environment that we couldn't otherwise pick up, like these barrels here. So we'll throw that guy down around, we'll pick up a barrel, and we're just going to swing this thing around. Awesome. So Taiga definitely plays very different from the rest, but for those that can control his power, he is extremely devastating if you can manage to use him correctly. We can also do a heat attack with these barrels. So every item in the game, pretty much, you can do a heat attack with. It's just like Yakuza 3. So whether that's a barrel, whether that's a samurai sword, whether that's a knife, whether that is half of a piece of fish you find in the fish market, you can do a finishing move with it, and some of them are actually pretty hilarious. So Taiga can also pick up the different weapons that these guys have dropped. We can pick up the baseball bat, which is a pretty fun one to use. We're going to do that next, that baseball bat on the ground, just after we do this. There's our baseball bat. Baseball is very popular in Japan, as you can tell. And Taiga also has special moves that you can use with the baseball bat. But like with all items, you can only use them so many times before they'll finally get destroyed or wear and tear. So Taiga's about to finish this guy off, and we're going to get to our final character, a man that many of you will recognize from the first 3 games. His name is Kazuma Kiryu. We're not going to spoil how he comes into the storyline or exactly what his role in the storyline is, but it's definitely related to the Tojo clan. And Kazuma Kiryu will be featuring many of the moves you remember from Yakuza 3, including your cigarette flicking action, for those of you that know how to do that one. There we go. Just make sure you light the cigarette when no one's around. Now, also from the 3rd game, there were some cuts made to certain mini-games, and we were happy to announce in this one, too, that we're not going to be cutting those mini-games. Our goal with Yakuza 4 is to kind of, catch up with Japan and getting the series out here to fans in the West. Fans have definitely supported Yakuza very well with Yakuza 3. You guys went out and really did your part, and so it's sort of a thank you on our side of not only getting it out to you guys a bit sooner, but also making sure that we're doing all we can to try and give you as much content as possible that wouldn't actually delay the game into 2012. So for the most part, almost everything's going to make it. The only thing that won't is the Answer X Answer trivia, and the reason being is because we couldn't just actually localize the text. It was moving Japanese animated characters, and we looked at the time to try and do that, and realized that if we were to spend that time, it would push Yakuza 4 far, far into the future. So we want to do everything we can for the fans in this case to give them as much as possible, but we also don't want to delay the game into 2012 because we think that might be a little bit worse in some cases. So Kiryu has a lot of the weapons equipped here that you can see in previous games. He's got his katana. All the different items in the environment, like the bicycles, the cones, are still interactable. And Yakuza 4 actually adds a whole lot of new things, not only to Kamurocho, but also to the way that you're fighting with these things. So we're going to build up the heat attack, and then we're going to grab one of these cones. And if you played Yakuza 3, you're gonna know what's coming here. So just bear with us, because you've probably seen this before. So we're going to grab a cone, and we're going to finish one of these guys off. It's a hammer triangle. Nice. And then, for good measure. So Kiryu's also got the katana. He's got other weapons. In the 3rd game, you could also sort of collect weapons. You could build weapons together, and you could actually meet a guy in the back of his van who was a big weapons collector and will help you out. And for those of you that like Shenmue, for those of you that love just exploring Japan, if you don't have $3,000 to go there and spend a week, Yakuza does remain very, very faithful to Japanese culture. Granted, you're not probably going to be attacked by this many men in suits if you visit Tokyo. You'll see some restaurants, you'll see a lot of buildings, things that are very, very true to the culture. We're hopeful that fans will really appreciate what Yakuza 4 is, getting to get out there and explore it, and also that they'll have fun with all the new experiences and the new characters in the game.